Hello and good evening, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Borough, the FAU podcast for and by fans, brought to you by FAUOutnest.com. My name is Dan, joined here as always, with Jack and Shane. And this week we're going to kind of jump straight into it. We're going to talk about the Western Kentucky game. Big comeback for us, really solidified our chances in CUSA East for a chance to the conference championship game. We'll talk a little bit about Marshall, and then we'll kind of address the Lane rumors that have been rampant on the board. So I guess to dig into it right away, Western Kentucky, great game. I mean, any conference road win is always big, considering we had two of them, I think, in all of the Charlie Partridge era. So it's a pretty big, pretty fun game. It was started out really well. Western Kentucky scored first. FAU answers with 17 unanswered. And then there was just kind of that lull, the second through the third quarter. Really, FAU couldn't get anything going, and we kind of exploded in the fourth quarter to really put the game away. And again, this team has been it's been really exciting to watch. We'll talk about kind of the keys a little bit and get your guys' thoughts. But this was certainly a big game. Nice to avenge the beatdown that we got last year at the hands of Western Kentucky. But I don't know, Shane, what did you think about this game?
Kind of when I was watching it, I was starting to get that feeling. They have the better quarterback, more experience. We're on the road. It's cold. They seem really well prepared for some of the things we can do. Some of the outside running. They were all over anytime Driscoll pulled the ball. They were shutting down Harrison Bryant. We'll talk about it later. None of the calls were going our way, from the Hayden fumble to, I thought, the pass interference right before half was an awful call. 23 on their team's a punk. He didn't get called for a couple late hits, and I'm just like, none of this is going our way. And it just seemed like, all the pain we've kind of been through the last few years, it's just flipped, and we were the team to just take over and turn the tables in the fourth quarter. I mean, Western Kentucky was up 8 at our 25, looking like they were going to kind of put this out of reach.
Yeah.
I'm like, they have the better quarterback. I thought the keys were that, we, like I always talk about this, we play a lot of man coverage, and they were making kind of the one-on-one catches with a good quarterback, and that's the key to beating us. And they're executing that until they did it.
Yeah, it definitely was an up-and-down game. Something that I noticed right away was how violent the game was. You could definitely tell that those two teams did not like each other. We still remember that loss from last year when they ran up the score. And they probably remember when we gave it to them a couple years ago, the year before last. So definitely a game where two teams didn't like each other. Roller coaster ride. We were doing well, and then, like you guys said, we were just getting shut down. That third quarter, we were driving in the first half, first drive of the second half. Then we fumbled the field goal snap, and 2 3-and-outs in a row. Western Kentucky scored, 14 straight, I want to say. It was looking bad, man. I was starting to get ready for a defeat. Down by 8, close to the scoring again when was it Shelton Lewis who got the interception there on Mike White in the fourth quarter?
I'm not 100% sure who got that last pick. I believe it was. Yeah, it was Shelton. Yeah.
Oh, Shelton.
He was struggling a little bit in the game.
Yeah. He did. They went his direction 3 straight plays, I want to say. One point in the second half. We couldn't stop them on third down. Mike White was throwing accurate throw after accurate throw. The smallest of windows, being our man coverage every time. But we allowed one play to give us the momentum that we needed to just turn it on. And we saw in years past that this team would collapse. We're not getting the calls. It's cold. It's a tough game. and just kind of shove up into ball and be scared. But we just saw motivation that we haven't seen in this program in God knows how long. 3 plays later after the interception, Motor breaks 5 tackles en route to a 60-yard run to tie it. Set up a 2-point conversion to tie it. It was just such a roller coaster ride that I couldn't believe. It really solidified the idea that this is a different FAU team, one that is not like the years past.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of their first experience getting somebody else's shot. We came in, we were the big favorites. We weren't seen as kind of the uprising underdog anymore. In Western Kentucky, obviously Lane Kiffin in town. It was obvious all the whole week to hear about all the yardage you put up on North Texas. And then they, kind of come up with no, they're not going to do that to us. And we're the defending champs. It's cold. This is our house. It just felt like, we got their best punters at the beginning of the game. And I think ultimately what happened in this game was, I think coaching won it in the fourth quarter. I mean, we simply outcoached them, made the adjustments, stuck what we needed to, even when the running game wasn't working. I mean, Buddy Howe was the better running back, I think, in the first half, other than a couple runs by Motor. He gets banged up in the game. They kind of just prevailed, and they made adjustments and, kept going back to their playmakers, which I think is sometimes you watch as much college football as I do. Is sometimes a team struggle and coaches struggle. They try and get cute, and this isn't working, and this isn't working. What do? We kept going back to Motor. We kept going back to Willie Wright. We kept trying to find him downfield until it just ultimately worked. And that fourth quarter is amazing. We haven't seen anything like that in probably 7 years.
I mean, the only time I can think of being able to respond like that is teams led by Rusty Smith. I mean, there's no team. We've never really been able to do that. You guys brought up a lot of good points. Obviously the fourth quarter was big. We had 200 yards of offense for the first 3 quarters, and we had over 200 yards in just the fourth quarter. And I think the defense did enough. It was really frustrating because it just seemed like Western Kentucky was getting wide open in the middle of the field all game long. And then it just we made an adjustment. We were able to dial up some pressure. I think that kind of one of the big turning points with Lewis getting the interception, the play right before that, White got sacked. That was, I think, his only sack of the game. It was
the first sack of the game, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a well-timed blitz on that interception as well, and I have to go back and watch it. I'm not a huge fan of blitzing at Tom. I think it's sometimes, especially for good quarterbacks, it makes their decisions easier.
Yeah, but I think the defense did enough to, we were consistent in what we did. Kept going back to Motor, kept doing these things, and eventually the plays broke. I mean, Shane and I were talking about early on, or before we started recording, is we would like to see John Franklin out there. Obviously he's done really well. Get maybe some option going, and I think the coaching staff they didn't panic. I think that's another thing. Is all right. We're only down 8. We're one play away. A broken tackle or a spectacular Motor run, and the game's tied. We don't need to get crazy. We're going to do what we do, and it worked out.
Yeah, and just to put it away, and I know it's just a call. When it works, it doesn't. Everyone goes crazy, and when it doesn't, you kind of rip the coach. Obviously, the fake punt was the call of the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not 100% sure, but from what I know, a lot of times in those situations, they'll see something on film from earlier punts and be like, hey, these guys are just bailing on the right side. And you tell your punter, and this, I've seen this fake call kind of with rugby styles. He moved to his right, and they probably told him, they said, hey, if everyone bails again, keep it.
Take off.
If they send a guy in at you, just, put it out of bounds. We were up a touchdown at the time, and, make them drive the field.
Yeah.
And this is where it's coaching. So, we might have saw that on film in the week, or might have saw it, the special teams coach says at halftime, hey, a couple times we punted, they were just bailing their guys. Let's think about that in the second half. I'm not 100%, obviously how it went down, but why is Western Kentucky? I think that that was a short field punt. We were inside their 50. Why are they playing coverage? Why are they bailing all their guys on the kick?
Yeah, they were definitely playing for a return.
What are you doing? I mean, but that's you have a young coach on the other team. So
exactly, they were out coached, and that's something that the Western Kentucky fans have been saying. They said that Lane just was 20 times better in the fourth quarter. The interception was Herb Miller. I want to make a correction. That's my bad, guys. Sorry about that. That you can't say enough about that fake punt. The video that the football team tweeted saying "Speed Kills" with the Kodak Black song in the background, and it's the punter doing it. Really just icing the game, putting the game away. It was insane. We had confidence in our defense at that time. The defense is getting its swagger back. The previous 3 drives ended in an interception. Previous 3 drives for Western Kentucky ended in an interception and then 2 straight 3-and-outs.
And then there's a fumble in there too. Sora recovered.
Yeah. You could see how fired up the defense was then. It was completely different, complete 180 from the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, just a shout out to Sora. I mean, all this talk about Gilbert coming in and taking his job. Well, Sora had a pick and a huge fumble recovery. So, him kind of, getting back in there and just goes to show how deep we are in the secondary. It seems like every week it's consistently kind of a new guy in the secondary making a couple of plays.
Yep.
I would love to see Aziz get his hand on an interception. I feel like there's 3 that's gone right through his hands this year.
Yeah. And there was one on Saturday. It hit him right in the hand.
Yeah. Sora caught it. But it's they're always just find a way to make a play. Even I was furious. That was a fumble that Hayden got.
Yeah.
I don't think they knew what to do with the guy just getting the ball ripped out of him. I still don't know to this day. I want someone to explain to me how that wasn't a fumble, what they ruled there. Absolutely insane. They just find a way to kind of make the plays and just give the offense a chance.
I want someone to explain how they don't even review that fumble. It was the FAU saying that they had it. You could see it on the replay. There's not one guy upstairs, one of the review officials, saying, hey, maybe it's a good idea to just take a little peek. It won't hurt. No, it's asinine how something like that can happen.
Yeah, that was such a poorly officiated game. I mean, it was unbelievable how poorly officiated that game was.
What was I going to say? There was a defensive holding. I think that resulted in. It wasn't. I don't think it was an interception, but it was something that we may have finally been off the field on third down because Jack, you mentioned it. They were at one point they were like 8 for 11 on third down or something like that. Something crazy.
9 for 11 at one point. We just couldn't stop them on third down, especially in that quarter. So
I agree. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about the refs and stuff like that anymore, or for this game anyway. But
they never. Right? I thought most games have been officiated well through the season, but that was bad on Saturday night. We can move on to Friday.
Well,
hopefully
moving on. And also, if you want to, Jack actually posted a link to the stadium website where you can go back and rewatch the game. They just have it up there, which is pretty good. I've really been enjoying the stadium broadcasts. Those two. Normally, when you get kind of the commentators for a Conference USA game or a Sun Belt game, they don't really know anybody. What's nice about stadium is like they really just have Conference USA, so they tend to know a little bit more. They spend more time with the coaches and players. It's been kind of refreshing.
One of the main guys doing the call is the guy you always see. I think he works for Conference USA. He's the guy you always see during like the Conference USA football media days. He's the guy out there talking to coaches. So like, you're talking about a guy who's sat down and like met most of these players and talked to them. I hate when people say the game isn't on TV. It's 2017. The internet is TV.
Yeah.
So, and it was on TV. And, it's like I said, it's better than ESPN3. The feed was great. There was replays. You know, I think it's good. And anyone, if you're in Canada and you have Twitter, you could watch that game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. And I'll enough about Stadium, but they shouted out. They actually said his name, the fireman who wears the FAU fireman's hat, who always tried. I remember at Lockhart, he was like the main person who tried to get the "Who Let the Owls Out" chant going. And it was just like, but he's a lifelong Owls fan, which is pretty cool that they recognize him. So
Anyway. I mean, he sits in the same seats every game for the last as long as I know him. I talk to him every game. Guy.
So that was kind of cool. But moving on, next up we'll talk about Marshall. Obviously a big game, Conference USA East on the line. If we win, if we beat Marshall, we're right now we still control our own destiny. But if we're able to pull off the win against Marshall, we've got a really, really good chance of making it to the Conference USA championship game. But Marshall's coming in. They're 6-2, 3-1. They lost to FIU at home to FIU last week, which is pretty remarkable. Don't really know how that happened. So 6-2, 3-1 Conference USA, and I don't know. I think it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a hard game. I mean, Marshall. They beat Cincinnati this year. They beat them pretty handily. I think that's one of their bigger wins. And last year I think everybody was saying, all right, this is kind of the end of Marshall. They had the down year. The
governor of the state wanted Doc Holliday fired. I thought it was kind of I thought the program was kind of disarray, and Doc has done what he's done this year, and he's a good football coach. It's kind of I think I maybe hinted this on the forum that, I know a lot of FAU fans and just how I felt. I mean, outside FIU, Marshall's probably been our second biggest rival, the most frustrated, the most second hated by our fan bases, at least. I know they have, other rivalries. They probably don't see us that way. Just the way Doc has thrown the ball late in some games, obviously turned up the score. He knows what he has to do to kind of protect his Florida commit recruits down here. Just the way some of the games have played out, I want to beat them so bad. They've just been another kind of thorn in our side. I mean, even though as great as it was to beat Western Kentucky, Charlie Park could beat them once.
No. We've never beat Marshall. Our first game against them, we lost on a last second field goal to.
Team Cato just took him down the field.
Yeah, and the
kicker's from South Florida too.
He went to American Heritage. He went to the same school as Motor. And
I remember that he did this. He was running around the stadium with his helmet off, doing this. And
I remember there was a crazy kind of pass interference call. They chucked up. I believe that drive there was a 3rd and 17. They were backed up and they kind of just threw one up and got a pass interference call on the ref decided the game. Yeah.
And we got blown out twice. Those are kind of the Cato years. And last year was Cato.
And the year where they had that undefeated streak and were in the top 25, we played them tough for the first half in Huntington. It was actually the first time that season they were down at half. I want to say Alex DeLeon had a catch up before halftime.
Yeah, well, we that running back I remember he got hurt in that game. And they still, the first play of the game, they broke the long one, the 70, classic up the middle, 75 yards, on Tony play call.
That patented.
Just defense. No one there. So we've always just kind of played them tough. I think. Even in kind of the down years, they were never just able to out-athlete us. We always had the same athletes they did, but we just could never put it together like they could. Because, Doc Holliday's, he's a good coach. And, win here is, they're probably the biggest name in Conference USA.
Yeah, I'd say so.
History-wise. So, beating them with all they try and do in South Florida would be huge.
Yeah.
And I hate getting them off the week they played poorly.
That's the thing, man. They're going to be pissed. They're going to want to come back down here and prove to their South Florida recruits that they're legit.
Yeah.
South Florida recruits saying, well, y'all just got your butts kicked at home to FIU, they're looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, I do. It is a big advantage. When a college team has to go on the road on a short week, Friday night, usually, you don't have to watch much college football to realize that's, we watched 2 top 10 teams go down on like the same night on a Friday night, a month ago. So, obviously that's a big advantage to the home team. But there's just something, we don't know the health of Powell. As much as we love Motor, he carried the ball 36 times last week. And
he was worn.
Marshall's, they're a big physical defense. So, I think it's going to be kind of similar to West Kentucky. We're not just going to open 5-foot holes and gash them for 10 yards of play. So, we kind of need all hands on deck. Motor's worn and Powell's not playing. It could be a concern.
We'll need a bigger game from Driscoll. Driscoll had, I forgot how many completions he had, but he had 94 yards passing, and 50 of them came on one play. We're going to need more from that.
I think some of it is the play, like I said earlier, I think a lot of these throws just go downfield early. I think they're just trying to stretch the defense. They're trying to get Willie right. The passing game just seems to be, it's either short screen play or the ball is just getting launched downfield. They don't even attempt an intermediate passing game.
Yeah.
So I think I'm guessing that's by design, just to kind of keep the defense stretched. But we'll see. We can't depend on Motor.
No.
To carry the ball 35 times.
We're gonna have to do other things, and I think that's another thing. Western Kentucky kind of limited Harrison Bryant, who kind of has been building the past couple of weeks, and then at North Texas kind of exploded.
Yeah, they were well prepared for that play. They were, a couple times they tried to run it, they were all over it. So,
So I think maybe there'll be a wrinkle there, get more touches. But yeah, we're not going to be able to rely on Motor as much as we did. You could see he was pretty worn down, and it's only one day, but
36 carries in cold weather on a short week.
Yeah. So it should be a good crowd. Marshall always travels really well. So it should have a good atmosphere. I know Shane and I talked a little bit about attendance. I'm not super concerned. Shane, he said it a couple times on the board, where it's not very difficult. If you want to get to the game, you can. If you want to make the excuse of, I had to work, you can get to the game an hour beforehand, half hour beforehand. I think attendance will be pretty good, and it may be this may actually benefit us a little bit in that we're going to be the only game on Friday night. I think people may come look at it. It's probably going to be some really nice weather, so attendance will be pretty good.
Yeah, the 6 o'clock thing isn't ideal, but again, it's just people who I kind of listed on the board. People who make random excuses not to go to the game are just looking for an excuse. There's how many people cannot leave work a few hours early on a Friday?
An hour early.
Yeah, but let's be real.
You just missed the first quarter.
Yeah, like the students do. So, I think all the other factors. I'm curious to see how much Marshall travels, just because it's on a Friday. But
that's true.
They probably have a good alumni base down here, anyways. And like you said, we're the only game on, and riding winning streak. Can't ask for much more. Than this to get 20,000 in there.
Yeah. I think. Do you guys have anything else to add to Marshall before we move on?
When it comes to attendance, it's not like anyone else in the conference is tearing up the attendance numbers.
No.
Yeah.
Western Kentucky, back-to-back conference champions, look at their crowd all season long. This is an issue that's going on with 125 other college football teams on the FBS. it's just the way it is. Why go to the game when you can tailgate and then watch the game from your home in the air conditioning or in the heat?
Wait till you see UF's attendance when they come back home in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be rough, man. It's going to be the State. They've had a couple noon games. Their attendance has been going down. Dude, look at USF, top 25. I went to a couple of their games at Raymond James Stadium, and you can't even fill up the lower bowl. It's an issue across the country. So let's just be thankful for what we have now, and it's not worry about things we can't really control. Which kind of is a good segue.
Great segue.
There it is.
Yeah. into the next thing, and this is what and Shane kind of brought this up. So I'll let Shane lead us into the next thing because this was his big topic.
Yeah, Al fans put horse blinders on when it comes to Lane Kiffin rumors and where he might go, and don't talk yourself into he's staying. Don't talk yourself into he's going. There's going to be hundreds of dominoes that need to fall. Does he know if he's staying or not? Probably not. Like I said before the show, if the UCLA job opens, which we don't know if it will, if they'll buy out Jim Mora, you don't think he'd take $4 to $5 million and go coach against USC this year? He doesn't know if this job is open. Who knows if Gruden goes to Tennessee or if Gruden doesn't and they take Bobby Petrino, would he want to coach Lamar Jackson? So we don't know what's opening around the country. His agent's Jimmy Sexton. He's going to probably have his name in every rumor anyways. Lane's going to have fun with it. Like I said before, Lane probably didn't even know where FAU was a week before he took this job. So to think that he's thinking about where he's going to go in a few weeks, in a couple months from now, whether he's going to stay, whether he's going to go, nobody knows. So kind of enjoy the moment, of where we are and enjoy having him as a coach this year. When we got him, we knew what we signed up for, and, we're getting a lot out of it. Best case scenario, we sign him to a contract extension at the end of the year, double, triple his buyout, hope hang on to him for another year with a lot of these good senior players we'll have. If not, we had a really fun year of football, and I'll root for him wherever he goes. So,
if the only thing FIU and Marshall and Western and Middle fans can say to us right now is, oh yeah, we'll enjoy your 1 year of success winning the conference championship, and then Lane leaves. Like, oh, you got us there, man. It hurts so much. Wow, we're gonna win so many more conference championships than Middle and FIU has already just that 1 year. So just enjoy it. Man, they don't have anything they can say to us right now. Enjoy it.
Yeah, and everyone's like, well, Lane's just going to pick up and leave. And so is 95% of G5 coaches would if they got a job.
Sorry.
Is Scott Frost any different than Lane? Scott Frost is gone. He's gone. Take another job. UCF is in the top 25 right now, and all anyone can talk about is whether Scott Frost is going to go to Florida or Nebraska.
Yeah.
So
same thing with Frank Thomas.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Sorry to Middle Tennessee that you're stuck with Rick Stockstill.
Yeah. The only way you keep a coach as a G5 program is if he's old.
Yeah.
Or he's average.
Yeah.
Okay. So Doc Holliday and Rick Stockstill. There you go.
Yeah.
Average and old. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have a good young coach, enjoy it.
And look at a good example, and this is something that every group of five is going to have an issue with, is even if we were, let's say we bumped up the salary to 1.5, UCLA could come in and offer $5 million a year, and it's like, yeah, Boca's great, FAU's nice, South Florida's really good, but we can't do anything about that. So enjoy the ride. I do think, like you said, there has to be 100 dominoes to fall. He's not jumping at the next thing. Because I think he actually legitimately likes it here. I think he likes FAU. I think he likes where he lives on the water and stuff like that. He's kind of made it apparent that. So he's not going out looking for, I don't think he's going to Minnesota or a school like that. He's waiting for the job that's going to be best for him.
Yeah, but you don't know what that's going to happen, and none of us even know. I see all the speculation and people thinking what job is best for him. How do you know what's in Lane's mind and what job you think is best for him? I mean, you have no idea. You don't know who he has relationships with.
Somebody mentioned Ole Miss, and it's like,
would he like to coach in the SEC?
And that's you kind of froze up there, Shane. But that's why I don't think he's not going to go to Florida.
Yeah,
I don't think he wants to go back to the SEC and face Saban every other year.
But you don't know that. That's the thing, though. It could be in him. Like, I would love to beat him once. You don't know what drives him. Like, that's all speculation. I mean, how much would you want to, if an opportunity to be like, you know what, if someone out west, like Texas A&M, took a shot at him, oh, man, I come through Texas, I'm Lane Kiffin, and I would love to beat Saban. Like, you don't know what drives him. Or he could be like, you know what, I don't want to live there. Unless you talk to the man off record and you're friends with him, you don't know what drives him. Or he's like, you know what, I want to stay here for a couple of years. Oh, I'd love to go coach Lamar Jackson if Bobby Petrino gets hired somewhere else. Or how can you speculate where he's going to go? You have no idea what he wants in his next job.
One of the Walty posted a really good article about it was posted out of Kentucky, I think, where they were talking to him kind of about this thing, and he was on and I think this is good for us, so we don't have to worry about where his mind's at. And I think he's done a good job of keeping the team this way. Is his mind is on this game. He's focused on Marshall. He knows what he needs to take care of. Because somebody asked him, he was on a radio show in Knoxville, like I think last Thursday or something like that, and he said in the article, he's like, normally I don't like to give coach speak, but I gave him real good coach speak, saying, I'm not going to comment on that. I have this game coming up. They're really good players and blah blah blah. He's like, I gave him coach speak because I'm not worried about that now. I'm worried about the next game that we have at FAU. So. He's not. I don't think he necessarily cares about that right now.
And just you're going to see his name speculated out there everywhere. Jimmy Sexton loves to do that. I mean, Jimmy Sexton, I believe, is the same guy that floated Nick Saban's name to Texas just to get more money. So you're going to see rumors galore. Every opening job in the country, every reporter is going to name Lane Kiffin as a candidate so they can get clicks. Every fan base has an opinion on Nick Saban. So Arkansas job opens up. Their beat writers come out, my top candidates. They're going to throw Lane Kiffin's name in there because they know somebody's going to have an opinion on it. They're going to freaking get clicks on it.
No.
Whether it's true or not. So just ignore it. And also don't believe what the coach says or anything, because Tom Herman had a contract signed while standing on the sidelines at Houston. Okay, and he's like, I'm just worried about this game. I have not accepted the job at Texas. Well, your agent has. So,
So we'll enjoy it. Hopefully.
Yeah, I would love to get one more year and get a bigger buyout at the end of it. But you know what? Arkansas State has a solid winning G5 program, and they had 4 straight years where they had coaches hired.
Yeah.
You know what? All they did was get buyouts, and all they did was just build facilities with that buyout. They said, our coaches, they're just profiting off coaches.
And that's
comes here and win, and we have more money to give to the next guy. Then the next guy's going to say, good young coach, and be like, damn, I can probably get a top job coaching and winning at FAU for 2 years. I'll go there, live in Boca, recruit Florida.
Yeah. And Arkansas State has been doing that while in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Young up-and-coming coaches come to Jonesboro, Arkansas, and they found a way to make things work up there.
Yeah, like I said, every G5 team that gets a good young coach. Toledo's going to lose their coach this year.
Yep.
I mean, there's probably only 20 jobs in the country where the coach isn't a threat to leave. I mean, someone left Wisconsin a couple years ago to Oregon State.
Yeah.
I mean, Fuente is rumored out there at Virginia Tech.
Really?
I mean, his buyout's huge, but I mean, his programs just don't care anymore, and they're going to pay to win football games.
Yeah.
So if Tennessee wants to buy out Fuente, or someone else wants to just get one of their $1 billion donors to just write a play money check to go buy out another coach they know is going to win there, done.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned to me, like, why doesn't someone want to stay with the program and kind of grow with them? And they mentioned, Peterson at TCU, and I said, okay, well, nobody has old Dallas money here. To do. Someone wants to pay Lane $5 million a year to stay here, he'll stay.
Yeah.
We'll give him a few more.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, why don't we just ask Lane right now? Before we're done with the podcast.
Go ahead. Get that set up for us, Jack.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and ask Lane. So, Lane, how do you feel about staying at FAU for another year? Okay, it seems like he's not saying much. He's enjoying a good Coca-Cola. That's really about it.
Congratulations on your cutout winning from FAU Athletics.
Oh, man, Daddy's home. That's all I got to say right there. Daddy's home.
So I think that'll about do it for us. For those that are interested, I was on a podcast for HerdNation.com, bringing the information to the West Virginia crowd up there. So I'll link to that whenever it posts. I think it's going to post on Wednesday. We're recording this on Tuesday. So any final thoughts on Marshall or anything like that? Oh, congratulations to Motor Singletary, Conference USA Player of the Week. Pretty expected. But you guys have anything else to say about Western or Marshall?
Motor's number one in the nation in touchdowns, rushing touchdowns and normal touchdowns, or any touchdowns, I should say. Kid's killing it. Marshall, I think it'll be a close game, but I hope we run this field. That'd be great to see.
Yeah, get to the game. This is what we've been asking for 8 years. So just enjoy it. It's a big Friday night game. The weather's going to be gorgeous. No. Would you rather be at work till 5:30 on Friday?
Yeah. FAU's closed. Well, the university's closed at noon, so don't go to FAU after noon. So, all right. Well, thanks as always to Jack and Shane. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at Inside the Borough. Feel free to email us if you have any questions as well, InsideTheBorough1961 at gmail.com. And check us out on either YouTube or SoundCloud or FAUOwlsNest.com, where it's posted there. We thank you guys for checking in on us and watching and listening, however you may do. And we'll see you next week. Go Owls.
#Motor for Heisman.